Good evening. I call to order this regular meeting of the Gladstone City Council for Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. It's 6:30 p.m. The City of Gladstone is abiding by guidelines set forth in House Bill 2560, which requires the governing body of the public body, to the extent reasonably possible, to make all meetings accessible remotely through technological means and provide opportunity for members of the general public to remotely submit oral and written testimony during meetings to the extent in-person oral and written testimony is allowed. Therefore, this meeting will be open to the public both in person and virtually using the Zoom platform. The Zoom instructions are on the agenda to the meeting. If members of the public would like to comment on an agenda item, either virtually or in person, they were to have emailed their comments or request to speak to the city recorder prior to noon today. And individuals attending in person may submit a speaker card to the city recorder at the beginning of the meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. The City Council will also have Gladstone City event announcements during the meeting and business from the audience at the end of the meeting. To speak during either time, virtually or in person, please email the city recorder again prior to noon today, or with your name, topic, and discussion, topic of discussion, and city of residence. And individuals attending in person may submit a speaker card to the city recorder at the beginning of the meeting. Comments again are limited to 3 minutes. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Councillor Huckabee.
Present.
Councillor Mitchell.
Present.
Councillor Blau.
Present.
Councillor Labonte.
Present.
Councillor Farley.
Here.
Councillor Garlington.
Present.
Mayor Milch.
Present. Let's stand for the flag salute, please. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We begin tonight's meeting with the reading of a proclamation. Whereas trees provide essential benefits to our environment by improving air quality, conserving water, reducing erosion, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees enhance the beauty of our communities, increase property values, reduce energy costs by providing shade and windbreaks, and contribute to the well-being of residents. And whereas Arbor Day was first observed in 1872 and has since been celebrated across the nation as a day to plant and care for trees. And whereas planting and maintaining trees is a commitment to the future health and prosperity of our community and planet. And whereas the City of Gladstone encourages all citizens to participate in tree planting activities and recognize the vital role trees play in our daily lives, now therefore be it resolved, I, Michael Milch, Mayor of the City of Gladstone, do hereby proclaim Saturday, April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the City of Gladstone, and call upon all residents, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, and businesses to celebrate this day by planting trees, engaging in conservation efforts, and fostering a sustainable and greener future for generations to come. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand on this 14th day of April, 2026. Michael Milch, Mayor of Gladstone, Oregon. We have a printed copy of the proclamation to present to a representative of the Friends of Gladstone Nature Park, who are hosting our Arbor Day event again this year. So thank you. And next on our agenda is an update, a presentation from Mitzi Olson, the director of our Gladstone Library, our annual Gladstone Library report. Mitzi, if you'll come forward, and if you push the button, the mic will be on and you'll be able to present to us.
Good evening, Mayor Milch, councilors, and City Administrator Betts. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the Gladstone Library. I am Mitzi Olson, Library Manager for the Gladstone and Oak Lodge Libraries. Today I'll be talking about library statistics. Mhm. Yeah, beautiful.
Getting there. Sorry, got the. We should be able to go now.
It's actually not advancing.
So,
This up and down. Today I'll be talking about library statistics for fiscal year 24-25, program highlights, new amenities, the donor wall, and public art for the Gladstone Library. The new Gladstone Library facility opened to the public on September 25th, 2024. The current statistics you're seeing on the screen are for fiscal year 24-25, ending in June, which include 9 months of statistics in the new building. We have seen a steady increase in circulation with a circulation total of over 151,000 physical items. This is a 7% increase over the prior year. Checkouts of ebooks and e-audiobooks are also on the rise with a 20% increase. Summer reading finishers increased by 50% with 243 finishers. This notable increase reflects a successful summer reading program with the library playing an important role in helping children stay engaged in reading throughout the summer. Annual door counts are close to 56,000 visitors, representing a 44% increase compared to the previous year. It's been a fun and rewarding year at the library with a wide range of diverse programs offered to engage and serve the community. Baby story time is offered on Tuesdays at 11:30 a.m. and family story times are offered on Fridays and Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. Our Snacktivities program continues to be very popular with school-age children. These programs are offered after early release Wednesdays between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. Many of our families enjoyed seed packets that were designed with the youth gardener in mind. We started the GOAT Teen Advisory Group and are still working to grow our membership that will advise on the programs we offer our teens. We now offer teen craft drop-ins on some Fridays from 4 to 5:30 p.m. We continue our collaboration with Friends of the Gladstone Nature Park and the Gladstone Library Foundation on seasonal story walk displays at the Gladstone Nature Park. The stories and activities are offered in both English and Spanish. Seeds for Sharing is a special collection within the library where people can take garden seeds to grow plants at home. The program is free to patrons of the library. Volunteers run the program, which is supported by the Gladstone Library Foundation. The Gladstone Library Foundation solicits seed donations from multiple sources to expand our offering. Some of our seed library volunteers also offer gardening classes at the library. Our monthly adult craft classes continue to be well attended and popular with our adult population. Music in the Stacks has also been well received. Patrons enjoy listening to music while they browse the stacks for their next read. Rock Readers Book Club continues meeting in person at the new library. And the Lunch and Learn series at the Gladstone Community Center has also been popular with a variety of subjects, including internet safety and awareness, homebound services where we mail books to people unable to get to the library, how to search a library catalog, how to download ebooks from the library, and what to expect at the new library. The library participated in a number of community events, including the Gladstone Nature Park Arbor Day event, the Gladstone Community Festival, the Gladstone Halloween event, the Gladstone Community Center Market. At most of these events, we offered free garden seeds and children's books. As part of the construction project, we added a book locker. The book locker offers 24/7 after-hour access and is located outside of the building. It's great for convenient holds pickup, contactless service. It offers secure storage and only opens with your unique access code. The book locker is great for quick stop-and-go pickups. The donor wall was provided as part of the construction project and was recently installed. There are 50 spaces for donor names. The Gladstone Library Foundation will begin a fundraising campaign where donors' names are engraved to placards and installed on each individual leaf of the donor wall. Donors who contribute $500 or more will be recognized on the wall. Donations are tax deductible and benefit library services. The Art Committee will meet next week to finalize the artist selection process. There are 2 locations remaining for permanent art installation, a sculpture just to the left of the library entrance, and an art piece up above the circulation desk. The story ring in the courtyard has already been installed. The library has contracted with Clackamas Arts Alliance to provide quarterly rotating local art at the library. The first gallery was installed today in both the children and teen area. We believe the rotating art will keep the space fresh and engaging and also offer cultural vitality to the community. We are also excited to highlight diversity of voices and perspectives through the art. We are excited to see renewed interest in the library following the opening of the new building, and we look forward to continuing to foster a love of reading and supporting lifelong learning. Any questions?
Thank you, Mitzi. I'm excited to go and see the new art. I'm glad we've got something inside and that very soon we'll have something in other locations as well. Are there questions from city councilors? The numbers are quite encouraging. I attended a library board meeting recently, and you talked about at the new library in Oak Grove, a similar huge increase in the number of people coming through the doors at a higher rate of increase than the amount of things circulating.
True.
But it shows that people are getting exposed and involved in the library, that it's become an important place for them in their lives. And, there are multiple ways that people use libraries, including just a place to, get out and relax and find some quiet. And we encourage all those uses. And I'm glad that it's been well received both here and at the partner library in Oak Grove.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you, Mitzi.
All right. I don't believe we have any additions or corrections to the agenda. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. So we will begin as usual with our consent agenda, which tonight includes approval of the March 10th, 2026 regular minutes, approval of the February 2026 bank balances, the budget report for the period ending February 28th, 2026, approval of February 2026 check register, legal costs for January 2026, and department head monthly reports for March 2026. Does any member of the council wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? All right, I will accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved by Counselor Huckabee and seconded by Counselor Labonte. Any discussion? All right. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Labonte,
Yes.
Counselor Blau,
Yes.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the consent agenda is approved as presented. Next, again, no correspondence, so we move on to Gladstone City event announcements. Sometimes we have people make announcements in person. I noticed tonight we have two printed announcements about things coming up. Music on the Greens, the schedule for our summer concerts on June 12th, July 10th, August 14th, and September 11th at Max Patterson Park. And then the Gladstone Arbor Day and Plant Sale on Saturday, April 25th. Do we have anybody who's requested to speak about either of those items or others?
Correct. We have three.
Okay,
First one is going to be Nancy Eichstead.
all right. Welcome, Nancy. And the mic is on.
I see that. So this is our 10th year doing Arbor Day in the Gladstone Nature Park. Hard to believe, very exciting. This is going to be a really big year. We're going to have about 27 vendors that include our local nonprofits, different folks. We have a soil scientist for the first time who's going to test your soil for you. There'll be tool sharpening. We've got an author coming who's written a very good book about trees worth having. Cracksburger and high school students will be up there. The high school students have grown a lot of vegetables. So if you're interested in that, this would be the time to get them. And we have a bunch of Willamette Valley nurseries that actually donate to the Arbor Day Festival. And in addition to our perennials and hanging baskets and things that everybody likes to come and get. So hope to see you all up there. It says last Saturday of April from 9 to 3, and we'll just take over the park. So
All right, thank you very much.
Next is Nicole Quackenbush.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Appreciate it. I know all of you, but I'm Nicole Quackenbush, a school board member, but tonight I am here as a Gladstone resident. I just wanted to provide an update on our PAC efforts for the Save Gladstone Schools effort. And thank you to those who attended our kickoff event at the Arlington Tap House. It was wonderful, and just really appreciate Matt from Arlington Tap House for hosting us. Just really great to work with business leaders here in the community. So our next event is on May 6th. It will be at 6 p.m. It's at the Brew. And again, I just want to extend just my gratitude to Cameron and Liz at the Brew for hosting us and for being supporters of our schools. I just think it just really shows what our community can do when we just really team together and come together to support. So at any rate, I hope to see some of you there, and thank you so much.
And last is Counselor Garlington on behalf of a community member.
Hello, I am here on behalf of Dr. Bob Everett. He asked that I would share about bingo on Friday the 17th at the community center. The doors open at 4:50. This month's partner is the North Clackamas Arts Guild and the art fair that happens in Gladstone in the summer. The Art Guild, along with the Rotary, will hold the Gladstone Arts Fair Saturday, June 6, 2026. But please, in the meantime, write down bingo, Friday, April 17th. Doors open at 4:50. Bring your appetite because they do cook for everyone and they do a darn good job. So hope to see you there.
All right, there's a lot happening in Gladstone. You wouldn't know it from the weather, but we're getting into that season when we begin to have more and more events like this. And it's really exciting to plan your weekend to make sure that you get out and enjoy everything there is of it that's available. We move on to our regular agenda items. We have 3 items tonight. The 2026 Gladstone Pavement Management Program, Resolution 1256 regarding Gladstone's social media use and moderation policy, and then a discussion of an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, between Clackamas County and the city of Gladstone for opportunity recycle, plastic pollution, and recycling modernization. So we begin with item 8, the 2026 Gladstone Pavement Management Program. Staff, will you introduce this item for us?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Tonight, I would like to formally introduce you to our Interim Public Works Director, Travis Spurley, who is here with us this evening. You have met him through email communication, but tonight I'm going to have him go through the process for our soliciting requests for proposals for the pavement management program, talk about the costs, where the work will be done, and then if you have any questions, we're here to answer those for you.
Thank you, Jackie. Mayor, City Council, what's in front of you is when I got here, one of the tasks at hand is kind of looking at projects going into the summer, slurry seal, overlay projects, whatnot, assisting the previous director in those. And this project here, obviously, it was a goal of the council. It was something that was awarded and approved basically in 2023, the Gladstone City Council adopted a pavement condition index. And this is kind of part of that process. And 2026 and 27, one of the goals, 2.3 is to continue the street pavement management program. So what we did is looking at the program, there's years and streets basically that are basically identified for each year. And what we did this year is we just took 2026 and it identified 16 streets that were identified for overlays. And so we went out and visually inspected those to see if they qualified for kind of what they were stating. So we identified those and we went out to bid and K&L was the lowest bidder. And their bid came in at $583,439.96. And then there's a 10% contingency on that, just so if something goes wrong or something happens, we have some contingency in there to manage that. And so the full amount is $641,782.95. And the project, we're looking at probably June, somewhere in there, they should start the project if it's approved.
All right, Administrator Best, do we have any previous experience with K&L Industries?
Yes, we have used them in the past, and also Travis has experience with them in the former cities that he has worked with. As you'll notice, there's a lot of homes in front of these streets that we're going to be working on, and there will be a public outreach that involves door hangers and notifications to the owners. There are some steep streets that we'll also be working through, but typically in the past, what we do is we notify 72 hours before that they need to have their cars off the street. And it's for about a 7-hour period that they will not be able to drive on the pavement. In the past, since I've been here, I think we've towed maybe 2 vehicles. So we have really good compliance when we do these projects. But as you'll recall, we did not do one last year. So this year, that's why there's so many streets to do that. But yes, we're very excited and we're very confident in K&L's ability to fulfill the obligations.
Very good. Did you have something to add, Travis?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that just because it's such an extensive project and a lot of streets, there will be outreach and there'll definitely be notifications to residents from the contractor and city staff to make sure. And then just kind of follow up with that, just making sure that we communicate that with the emergency services, the post office and the garbage services to allow them to, adjust what they need to do as we move forward with this.
That's great. I appreciate the thoroughness of that. We hear two things from citizens a lot. One is you're not doing enough to repair the streets. And second, why am I inconvenienced because you're repairing my street?
Yeah.
So, you got to do that balance and we're trying to do it here. Councilor Labonte, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, and thank you. It's always nice to have we had our road paved, was it last summer, or 2 summers ago? And my daughter was just getting into skateboarding. This has nothing to do with city stuff, but and our road before was a little rough. And then she got on the new, I'm like, go slow, you gotta be careful here. And then she had a big wipeout. But anyways, that's beside my point. I just want to highlight one street in particular. I had a citizen concern. And I know the answer to this. I just want to put it into the, out into the air here, but is it Ridgewood? Ridgewood Drive. I know that there are some citizens there that are concerned with a lot of cars parked on the side of the road. That might be a challenge that we run into with the paving project. I know this is not realistic, but again, just throwing it out there, they were hoping for a speed bump or some type of speed mediation on that road, whereas they're seeing many more, it's a dead end, but many more people seem to be living in the homes, whether it's rentals or whatever's going on there. And they've noticed, with the more cars parked, it's a bit more narrow. There's a hill there too. People are going kind of fast. So I just kind of want to throw it out there. I know it's nothing that we can add to this project, but it's something that I've been hearing about that very likely you'll hear about soon also. So there it is.
Yep.
Councilor Garland.
So when you said seven hours on a street, explain to me how far they get on one street, because you're giving this company a 5-month window. I guess I'm thinking to myself, a street, a time, and 5 months down the line, or how does this exactly work? Remind me, it's been a while since we've talked about street paving.
Yeah, so when it comes to a contract with a big, basically project like this, you give them a pretty good time frame, especially with weather permitting and other things that's going on. And some of the things is that contracts, they for the 5-month period, that is kind of the norm for a project this size. It probably won't take that long, but I've seen things to where equipment breaks down or unforeseens happen. And so just to kind of regroup and get the project back up and rolling, moving forward. But I don't anticipate 5 months of the project. And 7 hours is to a street. That's actually, they have to go in and basically grind the road out, and then they'll come back and overlay it. And what they'll do is try to do one side and then go to the other. So it gives it time for the other side to kind of cool down a little bit. So if there is some type of traffic that needs to actually go through, they'll assist those individuals with that. But staff will be out there with them just to kind of be that PR person out there and make sure that people are getting their questions answered. And I'll definitely be out there the whole time. I'm anticipating they probably start at 7, and they probably won't be getting wrapped up till about 7 at night. And they probably won't pull off of a job until residents are able to use the road. So, but I don't anticipate it being 5 months. That's just kind of a typical contract in a scope of work like this.
So how long does it take to do one average street or one section where we've got this list of sections?
So in my experience where I'm from, if I had this many streets, I could probably have it done. If things were going well, I could have it done in 2 weeks. So a road itself, I could say, depending on how many crews they have, they could do multiple streets in a day, but it has to do with traffic control and all that too.
Right.
So it just kind of depends on how much we're anticipating them doing and whatnot. But 7 hours, that is I would say that time frame for a street is pretty typical. So but they run into unforeseens too. When they're grinding down Gladstone roads, I'm anticipating we're going to run into some base issues. And what that means is, as they're grinding down, they might run into some rock and stuff. So that might be an over-X where they have to put some more rock in and compact it and, do a proof roll. So there's lots of little things, but going off of the pavement index page and what they're stating that they're recommending us doing, I don't see a lot of that, but it's to just say how long it would take to do a road. It all depends on what condition that is when they start grinding it and how long it would take for them to, repave it, I guess. So,
Okay.
but 7 hours is a good number to
Okay.
give you that time. So.
And then do we try to help find alternate parking if we're like the Ridgewood Street? That's getting everybody out of there at the crack of dawn and then not allowing them back until later, which could foresee some potential problems with people parking. Do we try to find areas that we can help where people can go for alternate parking to get in and out? How does that happen?
Yeah, so we do try to find alternate parking and we do let residents know, one of the things with paving is that once they're done grinding it, they're not right away. I mean, they're trying to fast track it, but if somebody truly needs to get out of their house or into their house, they will make room for that in the grinding process. It's the paving part. And that's where they'll do one lane and then basically allow the other lane to be open. But the parking stuff, issues itself, I'm not 100% familiar with the city and the layout, but a lot of the time we usually will reach out to like a church organization or a bigger area that people could park in that's near the residents. But more or less it'd be the side roads and stuff that we would try to accommodate and ask people that live on those side roads to park in their driveways or to kind of accommodate the residents that are being affected by the paving job.
Thank you.
Councilor Farley.
I have a question. Do we have anything in the contract that will have the company put a little finesse into working with our storm drains? Because I noticed on the last paving job, there's a lot of flooding like down Exeter because the storm drains were not addressed correctly. So the water flows wrong and it pools a lot. So do we have anything in there to encourage them to work with the system we have going right now?
Yeah, with overlays, it's a little tricky because you're going off of what grade is there. So when they're doing an 1.5 inch overlay, it's basically what they're paving over is kind of what it is. We can have them adjust the machine as much as possible, but when you do that, you'll lose asphalt. So to keep it consistent with the 1.5 inches, they'll kind of like fade the machine out on one side to kind of lower it. But in reality, it's following the old grade of the road. We're not reconstructing it or regrading it. So whatever we're putting down is kind of matching up with what's underneath. There is some finagling they can do to kind of help, but to redo the whole storm, there's nothing in this contract for that.
And we always have people that drive on the roads anyway after they've been paved. So just know that.
Yeah.
And since we have a pretty comprehensive list of where the work is being done, it'll be possible for us to go back afterwards and check out some of these storm drains and see if any new problems developed or anything is different from the condition that they were in before. So, having a very meticulously planned schedule and map of this will make it easier to address that contingency.
Yes, that's correct. And just the foreman, normally a paving foreman will normally be out in front of the machine. And when there are issues, they'll address them with the city staff and go, hey, this grade is going to be reversed or whatever. Here's my recommendations on what we should do. And then the staff will, say yay or nay to see if would work or not, if that would be efficient or not. So.
Okay, good. So a little more insight into why maybe a 5-month window is necessary because with coordinating, as you said, with trash delivery, mail delivery, all the rest, you got to find a schedule that works for everybody. So
that's correct. Yes.
All right. Would someone on the council like to make a motion based on the suggested motion on page 8-2?
I will move to approve a public improvement contract between the City of Gladstone and KNL Industries Incorporated for a total contract amount not to exceed $641,782.95 to complete the 2026 paving project.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved by Counselor Garlington and seconded by Counselor Blaug. Any further discussion? Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Labonte,
Yes.
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Counselor Blau,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the motion is approved. The contract is submitted. Okay, we move to our next item. Thank you, Travis, for being here tonight and welcome aboard. We'll see you again many times, I'm sure. The next item is to consider approving Resolution 1256, repealing Resolution 1116, social media policy and procedure, and adopting a new social media use and moderation policy. Why is it that in this day and age, social media policy has to change from one year to the next? Well, we'll hear a little bit about that. Okay.
Well, thank you, Mayor. The city adopted a social media policy 10 years ago, and technology evolves very quickly. And as you recall, a couple months ago, we had a work session on a new communications guide that the city had just developed. So what we did was we took our current policy, looked at what was in the new communications guide in regards to social media, and we wanted to make sure that it was all consistent. So tonight, what we're asking you to do is to repeal the previous one and adopt this new one. Some of the key elements in this updated policy you'll find is that departments can establish official accounts with approval from myself as city administrator. All of the social media accounts must align with our communications guide. We have information about access and security, authorized use. So there's only designated trained people within the city that are allowed to post messages on the city's social media accounts. There's a public interaction and moderation. So what is different also about our social media accounts now is we are allowing comments, which is not something that typically we've done in the past. We encourage that engagement and back and forth, whether it's through the police department site, the city's site, the community center has a site, and we'll also be working with Public Works on their information. But one of the things that we wanted to have our city attorney carefully review, as you'll see in the policy, is there are areas where the city can reserve the right to remove comments. And because we're a public agency, we also have to retain information. And so we did have City Attorney Jacobs review our policy. They are highlighted in the policy on when city staff would notify the person who made the comment first that they're not following our guidelines. And then if it continues, we have the ability to remove it. And those are like comments not related to the topic of the post, comments in support of or opposition to political campaigns or ballot measures, profane, obscene, or sexually explicit language or content, threats, harassment, abusive language, content that discriminates or promotes discrimination based on protected classes, links to sexually explicit material, commercial advertising or solicitations, content promoting or encouraging illegal activity, information that may compromise the safety or security of the public or public systems, links to candidate campaign websites or political advocacy sites, spam or repetitive postings, content that violates any local, state, or federal law, and private and or confidential information. So those are under the circumstances of when the city would remove comments. I would say this is probably the biggest change in this new social media policy versus the one that we had previously. And if City Attorney Jacobs wants to add anything about that before you consider approving it, I will have him chime in. But basically, staff is recommending that you approve this policy. It would be for all city officials, all city volunteers, on our boards, committees, and commissions, and also city employees.
All right, Attorney Jacobs, you're with us tonight. State of Oregon has pretty a broad understanding of what First Amendment rights are. And so anytime you limit what people can say, it's pretty challenging to do that. So do you want to give us a little insight into, how this is done and why it's legal for a city to do this and how we balance that with people's freedom of expression?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Chad Jacobs from the City Attorney's Office. I apologize for my voice and going off camera. I've seen it come down with a cold, so I'm trying to spare you from watching me blow my nose. Mayor, you're exactly right. In Oregon, we have pretty strong free speech protections. And the goal with this policy is to encourage that free speech to occur. And so the key thing that you'll see in this policy is what is called viewpoint neutrality. And that means when we allow people to talk about a particular topic, that we don't discriminate based on viewpoint. Whether the city agrees with that viewpoint or not, we allow those types of comments. But what we are doing is limiting the types of comments that we're allowing. So we're limiting it to those things that are related to city business. And so all those things that City Administrator Betts just outlined are unrelated to city business or potentially illegal or create other legal issues. And so based on that sort of balancing, we believe we can limit those types of comments because it's not based on viewpoint, it's based on the topic. And those topics are relevant to the city's business. So therefore, we don't have to allow that speech. We're doing something called creating a limited public forum. And so within that limited public forum, basically what we're saying is we're allowing you to talk about a limited scope of subjects, not any subject that you want, as opposed to creating a wide open public forum where people can discuss any topic that they want. And the reason we do that is for all those reasons that City Administrator Betts was just outlining, is really to encourage public dialogue, but to keep it related to city business and not matters that are completely unrelated to the city that could basically hijack the very purpose for which the social media accounts exist and the comments exist in the first place. And that balance exists because our options would be either to not allow any comments at all, like we've done in the past, or to open it up for this limited purpose. And so by doing this, we're actually allowing more speech as opposed to cutting it off. So if we couldn't limit the types of topics, then everything could just be hijacked and we wouldn't be able to actually run our social media sites. So that's the goal behind all this. Again, I think the key to focus on is viewpoint neutrality. We will not discriminate based on viewpoint. So whether we, as the city, agree with the position or not, if it's within the allowable subjects, then people can say whatever they want.
All right, good explanation. Councilor Labonte.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. I guess my question is, other cities have I assume have adopted a similar type of policy. And I'm wondering if there have been hiccups that you know about, or I'm curious as to perhaps if it becomes kind of burdensome in some way on, office staff and things like that. I support free speech, but I'm wondering, I feel like this is a tricky needle to thread sometimes. I just want to get some reassurance that that this is kind of happening well in other cities.
That's a great question, Councilor Labonte. And yeah, it is a tricky needle to thread. You're absolutely right. I think there are lots of cities who have these policies in place and allow them. Gladstone, as you all know, is a somewhat unique community, and things can get a little heated. And if it becomes too burdensome for staff, we could always amend the policy and go back to not allowing comments. But the impression I have from staff and others that it's worth allowing this opportunity to try it, and if it fails, then we can always go back.
Thank you.
Councilor Mitchell.
So my thought process, so say someone violates the standards that are in place for the comments. So are we keeping the comment up and then telling them that this comment wasn't okay? Or are we deleting the comment and then telling them it wasn't okay? Because I feel like it could be problematic to keep it depending on the comment.
The process that probably would take place is that we would private message that individual to let them know that they violated our guidelines and that they could either remove it or the city will. We wouldn't just remove it first. We would notify them.
And Administrator Betts, you alluded earlier to retention of records. So if we remove a comment, is there some record that it was made, or does it disappear into the ether?
I would say it disappears into the ether, but you should probably ask your city attorney.
Okay. Yeah, because if an individual makes a comment and then removes it themselves, that's not something the city has chosen to do or take an action to do, even if we say we would like you to remove it because it violates the policy. But what would you say about that, Chad, in terms of how comments that we flag and an individual removes, how does that fit in with public records retention requirements?
So unfortunately, I'm going to give you your very typical lawyer answer.
It depends.
And what it depends on is what we have that applies to Gladstone and every other city in Oregon is something called the record retention policy. And that record retention policy tells us how long we have to keep certain public records. And it's not based on the type of communication. So it doesn't say you have to keep emails this long or social media comments this long. It's based on the content of that record. And so depending on the type of record and what is produced, it's very possible that we can delete it and we don't have to retain it at all. But if it somehow falls within a record retention period that has a longer period, we would capture that and retain it. Typically, a lot of cities will have a service that will sort of back up its social media for these public records purposes to ensure that we've captured everything that we need to capture. So even though if it's not continually posted on the public facing social media page, we might still have it behind the scenes through this service, saving it for record retention purposes.
Okay, that's helpful. So we said, for example, you can't promote your own commercial business. So if somebody hijacks a post and says, hey, I've got a car detailing business, here's my phone number, that's not really city business, and we would not be in the same position as something that debated a city policy or commented on some chosen policy or action the city was taking.
Correct. So within the record retention policy, there's really no obligation for us to keep that posting related to someone promoting their car sale.
Okay.
However, as City Administrator Betts was just talking about, that there's other restrictions such as, obscene language. And so if someone is talking about a city policy, but within that city policy uses obscene language, we may remove it from the social media page because of the obscene language, but we probably still retain that record because it relates to city business.
Okay, well, I'm glad you thought these things through. And as Councilor Labonte referred, other cities have, seen the pros and cons of a policy like this. You had another comment or question?
Yeah, if I can. So I'm less confident voting yes for this than in the last time we spoke about it for some reason. But and citizens come to me with all types of concerns. This is not one that I've heard where they want to post more on our social media. I'm wondering if I'm missing something from staff perspective on that. Is there like a big push to for that?
This actually came out of the consultants that we hired to help us create the new communications guide.
Mm-hmm.
Cities are allowing citizens to engage on city social media sites instead of us just saying, here's the information,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so in their mind, as a council goal, when we're trying to engage more of the population, they recommend that we allow comments. I can tell you that we've been doing a pilot project already with the police department and the community center.
Mm-hmm.
They love it. But I said, it's just going to take one bad comment before you hate it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So City Hall, yes, there is a component where staff now has to be monitoring our site more regularly. And then you start talking into, do we need a dedicated staff person to be doing this? But Me personally, I was fine with no comments. I'm taking the recommendation of the people that we hired in this communications guide. We also had a team of employees from all the departments that were involved with developing that. And they also recommended allowing the comments. So I'm willing to try it and to evolve and move forward with it. But I do caution that if it gets burdensome, that we could come back and ask to amend it.
All right, I see two lights on at the end. Who lit up first? Okay, go ahead, Councilor Farley.
I share a lot of the concerns that Councilor Mitchell brought up, and I'm curious, I personally don't like censorship. And I kind of don't like how vague and subjective this has been described, but if we were going to implement some censorship, an example would be if we don't want to see racial slurs, because we don't. There are programs, I play video games. I'm a gamer, right? I'm a millennial. But there are programs out there that if you type in certain keywords, it just auto will not let you post it, right? It's unpostable. So I'm curious why we don't have a system like that being possibly implemented, because that would take the burden off any moderators for this, because you couldn't write certain keywords, which would then alleviate said burden. And it would also help us with describing what we will and will not tolerate, because you can have that listed out. These are words that you're not allowed to say in this forum. Any post with these words in it will automatically be, unpostable. So I'm curious if that's an option that we can implement to alleviate burden, plus also be more transparent with our censorship. I apologize. That's not directed to anyone specifically. That's just, sorry, I'm just saying that because I agreed with Councilor Mitchell, and I felt like maybe I could expand that a little bit.
Yeah, there are a lot of services available to do all the kinds of things that you're talking about, and it's just a matter of cost. And so, that's why I was sort of being silent, because I honestly thought that was a question for City Administrator Betts. And so what I would suggest is, having City Administrator Betts and staff, work on this and, give them sort of the leeway. If you all want to allow comments, and that's a policy call for you all, but if you do, give them the leeway to figure out the best way to do it. And, if there's a program or something that's available that's not cost prohibitive, then absolutely we should be taking full advantage of those programs, just like cities take advantage of the record retention programs. As technology continues to evolve, I think there's lots of ways that that we can sort of lessen the burden on staff to do these things.
All right, thank you, Councilor Garlington.
I had two comments or two questions. When you talk about removal of a comment, do you remove the commenter person as well? Or
Yes.
do you block that person?
We don't block
or
them.
company? No,
We-
just the comment itself.
We would reach out to them directly first and let them know that they have violated the guidelines. And they could choose to remove it, or we would let them know that we're going to remove it. So that would remove that person and that comment.
Okay, and then my other one is, so I'm just going to throw Facebook out there because it's most widely used in my demographic. Is our resolution, are we able to post for whatever, see resolution, whatever, so that somebody couldn't come back and say, well, I didn't know I couldn't post that?
We're going to post guidelines on the city's website
Okay,
and educate before we just remove or any of those things.
okay, thank you.
Councilor Mitchell.
Are we gonna post it or pin it or whatever the terminology, sorry, also a millennial over here, to whatever social media platform we are referring to, so it can be seen somewhere else aside from the website? Because someone's not going to look
Yes.
at the website before they post. So
Absolutely. We'll have it posted on all of our platforms.
One more, Mayor, if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
So let's say it's Friday at 6 p.m. and the staff has gone home because it's the weekend.
It's
Beautiful.
hanging out there all weekend.
And someone puts up something horrible, and then it's sitting there for the whole weekend.
Mhm.
I personally feel like we need to iron out some details on this one before I'm comfortable voting yes. Okay, thank you.
All right. Counselor Huckabee.
Can I make the motion now?
Yes, you may.
I move to approve resolution 1256, repealing resolution 1116, social media policy and procedure, and adopting a new social media use and moderation policy.
I'll
Is it-
second.
All right, it's been moved by Counselor Huckabee and seconded by Counselor Garlington. Counselor Levante has expressed some reservations. Does anyone else have additional discussion or concerns that you want to say? Go ahead, Counselor Huckabee.
I'll say, I acknowledge and I understand where you're coming from on that as someone who built a pretty robust counselor social media, whether Instagram or Facebook. There are settings you can just go in and like Counselor Farley was saying, that you can just automatically put those words in and it will reject those. So it's just a matter of our staff learning the ins and outs of it to make it work optimal.
All right.
And your experience with that, would that also apply to, let's say, unauthorized advertisements for businesses? Would we be able to, let's say, if somebody on a Friday were to say, hey, but if you need your trees pruned, could that be kind of filtered through? Being part of the policy, I'd want it to be kind of across the board.
Yeah,
Wondering.
I understand that. I don't know specifically if someone posted, their identification or their link to another, their business Facebook page or something. I'm a little less concerned than, hateful and sexism and horrible comments that should automatically be filtered out.
And I'm wondering, I guess, also if that would include websites too, that might not seem to be nefarious, but in fact are, if it would catch that too. I feel like, I don't know. I wish I felt better about it.
Well, you gotta think about images too, because it won't catch images because images don't have text, right? It's a JPEG. So that's a whole different demon. I don't know if this site allows images to be posted or not, but that could be a demon to face.
Counselor Garlington.
So I'm going to agree because with Counselor Huckabee, because the thing in my mind, the thing that I would fear the most is that this list of words would be used, not my car is for sale or my tree needs to be trimmed. Those, you could live with for the weekend and they could be taken care of. This list of racial slurs, 4-letter words, things that would attract children, those kinds of things I think could be mitigated fairly simply if somebody knew what they were doing. I'm not the person, just saying if someone knew what they were doing. And for that reason, I'm putting my trust in the city and the staff, believing that kind of thing would be monitored quickly.
Yes, and we have 2 employees that are 3 that are very tech savvy with that and will be working on this piece of that.
All right. And of course, we would never have control over somebody sort of secondhand using one of our posts on their own page or their own social media posts. So we wouldn't have any control over comments if somebody said, hey, look what the police department posted this week, and then put it on their site. The comments would be to them rather than to us. So no policy is perfect. And I think we've heard we've had some good feedback back and forth about things we would want to address and what our options would be to address them. Counselor Levante.
One more question to the pilot program, Administrator Betts. How long has that been happening with the police department, the pilot program?
Probably 3-4 months. Yeah, they love it. They do.
I found personally that it was very helpful to get some of the things communicated that were, for example, parking policy and what was going to be enforced. That was a message that I noticed, and it gave a clear warning to the community of what we were looking for and corrected some misunderstandings that people have. So getting out there and communicating to people is important, and getting a parking ticket is something that really upsets people. And so it's the kind of thing that would also invite some feedback that might not be too pleasant, but you balance the need to communicate clearly with the need to deal with people's reactions to having been enforced upon. That's part of being a city and having a set of regulations that we like to apply to everybody on a fair and equal basis. So, well, I think we've had a good discussion on this. Councilor Mitchell, I'll give you one last comment.
So if we discover problems, how would staff communicate or we implement changing, like going back to what it was? Like,
I think we need to monitor it for a period of time. Like I said, we're not having issues in the police department and the community center. I'm very positive about the city's site, but in my office is where it's going to be monitored. So if we have reoccurring issues, I would inform the council of that. But I feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to be successful with this.
All right, I think we are ready to take a vote on this. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Mitchell,
yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Labonte,
No.
Counselor Bloud,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the resolution passes by a vote of 6-1. We move on to item 10. Consider approving an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, between Clackamas County and the city of Gladstone regarding opportunity to recycle and plastic pollution and recycling modernization. Administrator Betts.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. You have a very detailed information in your staff report, but what I want to share, first of all, is that this partnership with Clackamas County Recycling has already been in place for many years. You'll see that there's a memo of understanding from 2008. Clackamas County provides this service for the city. And so some new rules came into place not too long ago, and that has to do with the plastic pollution and the recycling modernization. So Clackamas County is going to all the cities in the region, and we're updating now to an intergovernmental agreement. So I'm going to highlight just a few things. As I mentioned, Gladstone's part of Clackamas County Recycling Partnership, which means the city works together with the county and other cities to provide consistent, reliable recycling services. This partnership allows Gladstone to meet state recycling requirements without having to run its own separate programs or hire additional staff. Metro gives the county $13,518 a year on behalf of Gladstone to do this work for us. So Oregon recently passed a new law called the Plastic Pollution and Recycling Modernization Act that expands recycling services statewide and requires local governments to meet new standards. Under this law, companies that make packaging and paper products must help pay for the recycling system. Those funds will be managed by a statewide producer responsibility organization, which is called a PRO, P-R-O. So to keep things simple and cost effective, Gladstone plans to have Clackamas County receive these recycling funds on the city's behalf, which again is $36,420. Doesn't even come to the city, it will go directly to the county. The county will use the funding to run countywide recycling programs, reduce contamination in recycling bins, and make sure all cities, including Gladstone, meet the new state requirements. This approach also ensures Gladstone continues to receive high-quality recycling services without increasing costs to the city. So the new intergovernmental agreement being presented to council will replace the older 2008 agreement and brings all the recycling responsibilities into one updated document. It covers the city's obligations and their opportunity to recycle, the Recycling Modernization Act, and Metro's Regional Waste Plan. So again, there is no fiscal impact to the city. We continue to work with Metro and our current waste provider, which is B&B Disposal, and Metro is the funding mechanism that will be providing the funds to the county so that we can continue to have this ongoing partnership. This IGA was also reviewed by City Attorney Jacobs, and if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Is it safe to assume that other cities in the county are preferring to contract with the county for this service rather than do it themselves? We may not know what other cities are doing, but is this the typical approach?
It is. It takes a specialized professional employee to do this work. And Lake Oswego just approved their IGA with Clackamas County last month. This month, it's Gladstone and it's Canby. And I believe they're also looking to Oregon City. So all of the cities are reviewing the same IGA, having their attorneys review it. But you are correct. The county does a fantastic job. They have the expertise, and it just makes sense for cities not to try to duplicate what the county is doing.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Councillor Blau.
And am I correct in assuming that this doesn't result in any end user cost increase, like no customer cost increase?
That is correct.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else have a question? All right. Thank you for the clarification of that. We're used to, we have a contract company that we work with for most of our weekly trash pickup and recycling services. We have local groups that assist sometimes on an individual basis, and we have an event coming up next month where people can be recycling some of their electronic things like that. So we do pretty good at the city level, but this is, as you say, one of those specialized things, and to have the county take on the responsibility for the cities if they choose, looks like it's a money saver, it's a time saver, it's something that is more efficient because of the expertise involved. So I want to support it, and I hope that someone will move to approve.
Sorry. I recommend that we authorize the city administrator to execute an intergovernmental agreement with Clackamas County regarding opportunity to recycle and plastic pollution and recycling modernization.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved by Councillor Garlington and seconded by Councillor Huckabee. Is there any further discussion? All right, Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Counselor Blaug,
Yes.
Counselor Labonte,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes. So the IGA is approved, and we'll go on from here and hear about the other cities and move forward on this. I don't believe we have any business carried forward tonight. Tammy, has anyone requested to speak on business from the audience?
We do have one. It is Sean Price.
Mr. Price, come forward, please. And if you'll push the button, the microphone will be on for you.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Sean Price. I run the Kraxberger Gearheads Robotics Club at Kraxberger Middle School. I'm here tonight to talk about an enhancement project in our robotics club. Our current goal is to replace the manual reader board in front of our school, but we've hit a roadblock that we need your help to clear. The current board is outdated, frankly, a safety hazard, unsafe, dangerous for staff and students to manually swap out those plastic letters, especially if it's wind or rain outside. It's an old system that no longer serves our school safely. Our solution is to install a modern programmable LED reader board. This will allow the school to update vital information instantly from a computer, keeping our families informed about events, deadlines, and emergencies. However, because Kraxberger is located in a residential area, the current city codes prevent us from installing this type of electronic signage. I'm asking the council to consider an amendment to these rules. We are fully aware of the concerns regarding residential areas, and we want to be good neighbors. To mitigate light pollution, we are proposing that the reader board may be programmed to dim or even turn off internally at a certain time each night. This ensures the neighborhood stays dark and quiet while the school gets the modern communication tool it needs. The Gearheads are ready to lead the way on this. We've already committed $6,000 of our own club funds towards this project. We're actively pursuing additional grants and partnerships for the remaining cost. Our goal is to have this project completed within the next 6 months to a year. By amending this rule, you aren't just helping us change a sign, you're supporting a student-led initiative to improve our community safety and communication. We're ready to work with the city to ensure that everyone's needs are met. And thank you for your time and for your support of the Cracksburger Gearheads and the Cracksburger Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your work with that organization. We generally don't comment on public things, but I think this is another situation where we have technology evolving, much like social media technology evolves. And we had a situation of a business wanting to use this kind of a sign, and we need to keep our codes updated. So staff, I hope you'll take this concern along to our planning department, and we can examine the best way to proceed so that we make sure that all those needs that you're concerned about are balanced with the change in a technology that maybe didn't exist when we put our codes in place. All right. Okay, we have reached the end of our regular agenda. I remind you that we will be going into an executive session later, but we will finish with business from the council as usual. I will start down at the end with Councillor Huckabee.
Thank you. I don't have a lot tonight. Actually, I just have some gratitude. So I wanted to say thank you to Haley and all of the city staff for all of their hard work on another successful family-oriented Easter egg hunt. That is always fabulous. And once again, we were blessed with beautiful weather, which seems to happen every year. And then secondly, I just wanted to say thank you to Administrator Betts for sending us information in between meetings via email and keeping, the counselors up to date and answering questions that come up in between. And I appreciate those important messages you send us. That's it.
Councillor Mitchell.
Now through May 31st, participating libraries in the area all along the West Coast are having their biggest book club on the West Coast, which is One Book, One Coast. This year's book is They Called Us Enemy by George Takei. Different libraries in the area are having various events for One Book, One Coast. Gladstone in particular is having an origami class on April 25th, 2 to 4 p.m. The author is doing a virtual visit on May 31st at 2 p.m. Check out other libraries in the area. There's a list of what events they're doing at each library on lancc.org. I had a chance to stop by the Gladstone Library today and saw the new artwork displayed, and it is beautiful. So I recommend stopping by. Milwaukee Letting Library is having a ticketed event to their VIP screening of the movie The Librarians on April 18th, 6 to 9 p.m. Tickets include appetizers and a behind-the-scenes look at the workings of the library. There will be an encore pay what you can showing of the movie on April 26th at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Councillor Blau.
Let's see. Metro Future Vision, the project that I'm involved in for imagining what our area looks like in 50 years. We currently have a survey going on, and so the link is on the Metro site and should be coming out in either an email or newsletter, hopefully sometime soon, for people to weigh in on regional values. The Future Vision project underlies all of Metro's work on everything from housing to transportation to arts. So parks also is included in that. So it'd be really great if we had good participation from Gladstone. What else? I did a Basics Rights Oregon conference down in Corvallis, and that was really interesting. And I will be going to the spring conference for the League of Oregon Cities, which is coming up at the end of the month. And that's all I had.
Counselor Levante.
Sure, I'll be quick. The excited to see people going downtown and the businesses seem to be pretty busy, especially on sunny days. So I know that, folks sometimes complain about the parking issue, which is kind of nice to have people coming downtown too. So it's flip a coin kind of deal. But I'm excited to see our city kind of coming, springing up a little bit here. The county has a safe driving task force that they've put a lot of effort into to try to reduce fatalities in our county. I get to participate with that. There's been a lot of traffic fatalities in our county over the past week, over the past few months. So I hope that some of the projects and philosophies and theories that this group is putting out there, just well attended by folks from the county, people in county government. I hope that it can help to kind of, that maybe we can get to 0 fatalities in Clackamas County. Maybe it's an impossible goal, but just drive safely, especially where we are finding that some of our rural areas are becoming more populated, and that threshold between a rural area and an urban area is becoming, pretty much a problem area for driving, let's say. So that's just a shout out for driver safety. Slow down, wear your seatbelts, drive sober. Thanks.
I just want to say I really love our city, as we all do. But one of the reasons I think this is one of the best cities in Oregon is Meldrum Bars is a beautiful place all year. And whenever I'm having a hard day, I like to, especially when it's raining, I like to drive down to Meldrum Bar and park my Jeep right up against the water and smoke a cigar and just watch the water flow, And every single time I do it, I'm never alone. There's people fishing, there's people doing the same thing I'm doing, there's people getting together, having a little mini tailgate. And I really enjoy that our entire city has that opportunity, because I can't help but notice when I look across the river, there's West Lynn with these $1 million houses, all privatized. So nobody can go down and do what I'm doing, right? Or doing what the other citizens are doing. And we have a lot of parks already here, but I love that our city takes our community so serious, and that we have an option to just go by the river and just relax. And so I just wanted to thank those that came before me for allowing that opportunity.
Thank you, Councilor Farley. Councilor Garlington, go ahead.
So on Thursday, March 26th, I attended the Clackamas County Dinner in Estacada with Councilor Bogg, and the speaker they had there talked about the mill revitalization. It's a fabulous project. If you get a chance to look it up online, what they're trying to do there is it's just a huge project with enormous potential, and the vision of the people was so strong and so heartfelt. It was just really wonderful to listen to them talk about it. And then on Monday, March 30th was the Clackamas County Library meeting. And thank you to Director Olson, who keeps all of that going. We learned a lot of what we talked about tonight, although with both libraries. Mayor Milch was there with us. And then I also want to add that the state of Oregon has decided to fund that Dolly Parton Imagination Library. And that's a real big deal, because libraries wanted it. Library jurisdictions wanted to support it, but it cost a lot. And it's worthwhile. I totally understand that. But one of the things that I found being on the library board is the libraries have been axed so badly. And I'm not sure what the reason for that is, given the fact that if our kids don't learn how to read, we're not going to have anybody to run this beautiful state of ours. So what was the purpose? So for the state to fund this is, I'm hoping, the very first step in the state backing our education in our school districts because we need more of it. And I'm just going to get off that soapbox. I want to say thank you also to the Gladstone Community Center, Haley with our city staff, the Robotics Club, and many others who worked for months, I'm sure, to make the pancake breakfast and Easter egg hunt possible. It was beautiful weather, and I know the kids that were there were really excited. They had that little photo booth that was so fun. Some of the little kids were just dressed to the nines. It was as sweet as could be. I mean, if you're going to get to wear your Easter dress for 2 days, why not? So again, mark your calendars for Bingo Friday, April 17th. And then I want to reiterate the Arbor Day plant sale. The gearheads will be there. Don't forget to bring your used electronics. Do not throw them in the trash. Please recycle them. Gladstone Baseball will be there with their food truck, so bring your dollars for that. Again, the high school veggies and the Gladstone community, they just flat out come together and they support this event and they want to meet their neighbors and they want to talk plants and they want to hug around a tree. And for that, I am eternally grateful. And I will do that Metro survey. If you will please drop us an email as soon as you see it goes live to remind us to do that, because I'm sure that we can each even reach out to 5 more people and say, hey, I got this. I'm going to share it with you. Could you please take a few minutes to do it? So appreciate that. And I think that's all. Everybody have a lovely day.
So I have a meeting tomorrow morning at 7:30, the C4 Metro Subcommittee, and we will be getting an update on the Future Vision Project by Metro at that meeting. So it's good to stay informed and to know how it's going and to have an opportunity to participate in it by sharing our views. A couple of things I did the last couple of weeks. This is Gladstone's turn to chair the North Clackamas County Water Commission. This is the body that oversees the water treatment plant that provides clean drinking water to Gladstone, to Oak Lodge, and to Sunrise Water District that serves Happy Valley and Damascus. They get additional water from other sources because there's so many of them out there. We had our budget, and we're working on a good capital improvement plan to make some improvements in that plant that needed to be made. And we've been setting aside money in reserves each year in order to be able to do this without having to borrow money to do the upgrades that are required. So it's good stewardship of ratepayer money. And I'm glad to be able to work with all those agencies cooperatively in doing that. We're a little bit concerned when we read the weather reports about the low snowpack, record low for this part of the country, and the state of Colorado and other places are also concerned about this. I'm a little, I will say, pleased that the forecast is for a little more snowfall this coming week, so maybe that'll alleviate that. But just to warn everybody, we may be looking at a summer where we're going to have to enforce some restrictions on water usage in order to be sure that we have enough for just our basic needs. And my wife will not be happy to hear me say that because she has a garden and likes to keep it watered. But it's a responsibility we will share as citizens if worse comes to worse in terms of water that's sourced from storage in snowpack. One of the other things I did, couple things I did last week, and the interesting coincidence, I attended the Forum of Mayors sponsored by the Clackamas County Business Alliance at the Carver Center out in the Carver neighborhood. And several mayors talked about high priority things in their own cities. And I also went to Career Day at John Wetton Elementary School. And when I talk about city careers, public works, police, fire, administration, with children, I always like to start my discussion with asking children, why is it that we live in cities? The majority of the world now lives in cities and urban areas rather than rural areas. You were alluding to that a little bit. And I say, why don't we live in, the little cabin in the woods or the little house on the prairie? And why instead do we gather together? And I'm always amazed by the responses I get from the students. First of all, they recognize the social aspect. If we live closer together, we have more friends. We have more people that can help us. We have more people we can connect to. And that gets at what you were saying about coming together for events like the Arbor Day Festival. But then we move beyond that, and they also start saying, yeah, and if you have something that you're really good at or a product you want, you have other people that can buy it from you. And so they understand basic economic development as a reason also that we live in cities. And those were the two things that I highlighted when we went to the Clackamas Business Alliance. Our goal of transformational placemaking, where we're concerned about giving people a place where it's possible to have prosperity through economic development and growth as a community, and also to address social cohesion and connection with others. That's the other thing we look for. And we even look for it in our business community. So Councilor Labonte, you talked about, being an active place on Portland Avenue. A lot of that is just people who encounter one another and connect with one another while they're out doing their shopping. And to have that sort of an experience economy at our local level is something that we'll work on and continue to try to achieve here in Gladstone. We're not the kind of city that's going to be, looking for a big plot of land to put a data center or attract an Intel or a Nike. But at the local level, we can have the kind of businesses that appeal to our community and also bring people together and make us feel, a part of one another. So I think that's an exciting place to be. We have our council planning document, agenda planning document is at the back of our packet tonight to let you know some of what's coming up. We pulled a couple of items from our agenda tonight that weren't quite ready to be dealt with, and those will be coming up next month. So we're going to have a very big agenda and a much longer meeting. But for the time being, this part of our agenda is complete. And so I will adjourn us right now, but we are going into an executive session, and I need to read the script for entering into executive session. Announcing the start of executive session under ORS 192.6602E. The Gladstone City Council will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602E to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Recognized representatives of the news media and council authorized staff members may attend the executive session. All other persons must leave the room and are respectfully requested to do so now. Members of the media are specifically directed not to report on the topics discussed and the deliberations that occurred during the executive session. City councils are similarly reminded not to discuss executive session topics and deliberations with any third party. This includes, without limitation, family members, other appointed officials, for example, planning commission members, library board members, etc., city staff and volunteers, members of the public, and members of the media. The presence of the media while the city's legal counsel is discussing matters with the council is not intended to, nor does it waive the attorney-client privilege that attaches to these communications and any related documentation. If a final decision on any matter is necessary, the council will make that decision when it is in a regular session. Thank you very much.